Hey guys, I'm Chris, and for the past 3 years, this shop has been the main source of my livelihood. But I've never given a formal tour of the inside of this shop. Yeah, you guys have seen it, but I hide a lot behind the camera. It's really not as functional as it should be, and as life happens, a lot of us makers wish we had more organized spaces and we could do more with what we have, but we don't have the time, and this is a prime example of that. You might think, as you go through this and watch this, you might think, Chris, why don't you just tidy up a bit? And that's true, but I'll address that at the end of the video. And this is kind of a one of two-part series of a complete metamorphosis of the shop to help me be more functional. So today, I'm giving you the most honest and the most vulnerable shop tour I think a maker has ever given. Hopefully that's true, I don't know, but you guys are gonna see things that may shock you, and how in the world did I let it get that way? All right, here we go. But first, let's do an overview of the property. There's the house, the driveway going to it, and the walkway to the front door, the 3 sheds in the back, and the shop. Here's my walk to work every day. So let's go ahead and lay out the shop as is. We got the 10-foot roll-up door, the man door, and then of course some various things around the perimeter and in the middle. I don't care for this setup, so I'm gonna change it, but first I'm gonna introduce you to right when you walk in. All that being said, let's go ahead and walk in. Need to clean the door. So let's walk in and take you to this section right here. So yeah, when you walk in here, this is what you're greeted with. I have a clamp wall that could be better, of course. I've got things just in places that you wouldn't expect, right? I've got an old workbench con bag. I've got who knows what. I've got Crunch Labs kits, right? I mean, just crazy stuff. It works for me, but I can be better. Like I said, this is one of those shop tours that I don't want to give you. But this is something that really is functional for me. This is a cantilevered on French cleats. All of my sheet goods can actually fit here. My 1/4 inch stuff I use for the laser, my 1/8 of an inch Baltic, and then my also Baltic birch 3/4 of an inch stuff that I use on the CNC. So it's functional, it could be better. I've got things that are just kind of thrown all over the place. Even a failed attempt at a Shop Nation sign. More about this in a minute. And that's kind of another reason why I'm showing you this. You know, Drew Witt and Travis over at Shop Nation, they're doing a Maker of the Month challenge. This is Drew's kind of brainchild, and Travis is getting involved because April should be spring cleaning. We're getting back to what he calls shop greatness, which I totally agree. And this is kind of why I'm doing this. I was actually inspired by them going through this movement and said, you know what? I need to take steps in this regard, and I figured I would show you the ugly side first. All right, moving on. These sections of shop are also broken down by chapter in the description if you would like. Okay, so I hope I'm not revealing too much here. Hope you guys still have some respect for what we do here. But this is a prime example of why I want to do this movement to be better in terms of being more organized. This is a 4x8 feet of plywood. Usually I cut these down outside and I make them into smaller pieces, that way they're easily manageable for me. But I need to make a table for my wife's friend. She is wanting a new craft table, and I said, sure. She went and bought some legs. I'm gonna make this thing. We're gonna put a nice old door on top of it so you can see stuff from the glass panels underneath. It's gonna be cool, gonna be a video. But there's nowhere for me to put this in this shop right now, except for right here, or maybe over somewhere else that would be blocking another area, and that's not good. In this space, 30 by 20, yes, it's only a 3-car garage, and I say only because this is a production space for me. This is a business now, and so I'm not very, I'm not very keen on having big sheets like this just around because I usually cut them down. But I need to have the option to do so, and that's the goal. And I'm showing you this embarrassment from having snacks around to having a bandsaw I can't use right now and a drill press I can barely use. Yeah, this is the goal, man. And again, like I said, you might say, Chris, just tidy up. Again, more on that later. But let's go to this corner that I'm absolutely ashamed of. All right, it's my corner of shame. I've had a corner of shame in every shop I've ever had. Even in my 1-car garage back, whatever it was, 13 years ago. Yeah, there was one there. There's been one in my 2-car garage here when I started this channel. And this is it now. Used to be over there, but we'll get to that in a minute. But this is it. I've got 3 pretty awesome woodworking tools right here. I've got a bandsaw. I've got a, what is that, drum sander? Can't remember what it is. It's been so long since I used it. A drum sander and a pretty nice planer on top of a chemical cabinet with a whole bunch of stuff in it, right? Again, reason I'm making this is because those of us who put content out, those of us who make a living doing this, we're not pristine at all. I'm known for a little bit of organization, and I've shown some things on how to help people get organized, but I need to really heed that myself, really. I've gotten so inundated sometimes with production that this shop is not nearly as pristine as I want to. And honestly, we don't all have unbelievably clean and pristine shops, okay? We can't all be Brad Rodriguez, right? We try to, you know, maybe a little Diet Mountain Dew will help, but we can't. Love you, Brad. But seriously, this is the reality for most of us, and including myself, and that's why I'm making this tour. So again, we're just gonna keep on moving on. So this is the other corner of the shop, and there's been some changes to this recently, but I just had this idea of making an honest shop tour a few weeks ago, and I thought I would walk through kind of some organized chaos, or maybe not even that organized, but a lot of times my shop will get away from me because of the amount of orders and the amount of production I'm doing now with the way the business is going. And I just want to take a second to film this, and also to say thank you all so much for allowing me to become this organized, because I've been extremely busy over the past year or so, and your support has been unwavering, and I can't thank you enough. If you want to know what I'm talking about, everything is in the description that we make, and moving on with the shop tour. Okay, so as you've seen from a previous clip, I no longer have the countertop there. That is in my shed where I do all of my shipping, and it is so much better there. In fact, that's a pretty darn organized space because it has to be. It has to stay that way in order to stay efficient. This is something that I am looking to kind of achieve with a gallery, right? Except these are old French cleat holders. These are things that I made way back when, and I just thought the idea of putting tools up on the wall and having them be like a gallery of some sort. Of course, I don't make this on the CNC. I just made this by hand. Glue and Brad's pretty easy. But the deal is that I want to have a backdrop behind me, and I'm looking to do that much more so than I have before. And this is definitely not the way I want to do it. This lumber rack is underutilized. I have an actual cantilevered shelf here, actually more like a countertop. And again, it's just an all-out debacle. I'm ashamed of it. I just am. And so I'm not going to be a broken record. You know I'm going to fix it, and that's the goal. But yeah, this is what I'm dealing with, okay? Moving on. Oh, one more thing. You see this? I'm just in the middle of cutting down material. These are a bunch of sheets of 1/4-inch plywood. You saw I took down some tools and I kept them out of sight, but this is where I'm keeping the red marking tools now. Moving on from that corner up to this wall, you can see here I've got a couple of different workbenches here. Basically, all of my parts that I make from the machine, they come here, they stack up. I then run them through the orbital sander holder, and yeah, and then I transfer everything over to the shed, and that's how I do this. But this dust collector, I'm gonna give this dust collector some props. This is the 1250 CFM Rockler wall-mounted dust collector, and it has been with me since I got this shop. And there are days and weeks that this thing runs all the time. Sometimes I'll even forget to turn it off as I go to bed. No joke. This thing is an absolute workhorse. This isn't sponsored by them, but I did a video about this dust collector that was sponsored by them years ago. But I'm telling you, this thing just runs and runs and runs, and it just works flawlessly, and it's really not that expensive. So I'll put links to it below too. But here you go. This is a wall that has no cohesion, no nothing. It's functional in some regard, but not really. One thing about French cleats that you need to understand, a lot of times that people think they get just a French cleat happy and they put things all over the place. You can create, I can't believe I've been saying this, you can create a bit of visual noise with French cleats if you don't do them the right way. And it's a little noisy, wouldn't you say? Anyway, I'll probably do a follow-up about that and the do's and don'ts about how to organize your space. But let's move over to the big machines now. I'll talk about them, their functionality, and then we'll go to the island where is behind the camera at the moment of the workbench and the saw stop, and that will conclude this version. But let's get into this. All right. Okay. So, in case you don't know, I basically use these two machines to make a living now. This is a Laguna Smart Shop Laser EX, 150 watt. It's amazing. And this is a Penguin Gen 2, and it has been an absolute workhorse as well. The bed size is a bit small, but here's kind of the kicker, is that I use the same size blanks, which are only 36 by 24 on 1/4 inch material and on 3/4 inch material to make what we make. So it's pretty cohesive. It allows me a storage solution like I showed you in the first clip to kind of have everything kind of in its place and ready to just put a piece of wood down here and put a piece of wood down there. But could there be more organization? Yes. And I have a few ideas for that. And again, like I said, this is going to be a 2-part series. I'm showing you the embarrassing tour first. I'm going to make some big necessary changes in the same space. I can't extend the walls. I can't make it any bigger, but I definitely can make it a lot better. And this is kind of the end of the perimeter tour. And we are now going to go to the middle of the shop. I'm going to show you the saw and this workbench that is right here. And I think this one's pretty cool. So yeah, let's do that now. So I've kind of moved this thing around. This is a 5x4 workbench for me. As you can see, it's got some cubby space for laser cut products that I can stage. It's on wheels, so it moves around and has things fall off of it from time to time. But one of the coolest parts is this. Look at the storage underneath. There used to be a CNC under here, another one. I never really used it. I didn't really have the need. It was kind of backup. But now I have this massive, you know what? You know what? Oh my God. Just now, like making this video, the drum sander and the planer back there, I wonder if they'll fit there, because this thing is super cool. Check this out. Right? Look at that. So this could just tear apart and they could be on here. Okay. I hope it works. Anyway, all right, so I can't believe this is so cool. Now that I've collected myself from the excitement that was the realization that I could use this for some power tools that I would need. Pretty cool. I did say in the beginning of the video, a lot of what you're gonna see here is, Chris, why don't you just tidy up? So I'm going to take the next hour or so, and I'm going to tidy this place up, and it makes an improvement for sure. It's hard to do functionality changes in an hour, but you could for sure get yourself to a place of better organization. So I'm gonna do that now, and then I'm gonna give you one more whip around tour. Let's go. So I know I said I was gonna do some tidying up, and I guess this is still correct, but I've gone ahead and decided to do some functionality changes as well. Moving these tools is just something I had to try. Using this scissor lift from Harbor Freight, I tell you, this thing has been a lifesaver over the years. It's especially when you're working in a one-man shop like I do. And here you go. This actual pull-out table too has these casters which allow you to basically just bottom it out on the ground. They remove the wheels from the surface and then you're good to go. So here we go. We're gonna lower it down and then we're gonna push this thing on. This is a beast of a machine. It's very heavy. And then the planer's not so bad, so I don't really need the scissor lift for that. But it looks like the functionality is gonna work out pretty well. I'm trying to gauge where I'm gonna be in feed and out feed, and I think this setup here is gonna work the best. And then you can see everything tucks away and it's out of the way. That is an awesome solution. What do you think? So I used that time to do those changes and didn't really tidy up too much, but I did get my corner of shame all fixed up. Okay, enough of all that tidying up stuff. I got a lot to do, and I'm gonna show you guys here in the next few months. There's gonna be a lot of changes, and we're gonna get this thing in the most efficient way possible. 30 by 20 is, in some cases, a very big shop. I remember when I was thinking in a 1-car garage, if I could just have a 2-car garage. And now that we have turned this into a business, yes, it is a little bit cramped for what we do, but I think there's more space in here than I realized. So thank you for joining me on this kind of embarrassing shop tour, but it's real, and I wanted to show you guys and give you a real, I guess, glimpse inside, as cliche as that might sound, into what's going on here. So thank you so much again for watching. Stay tuned, subscribe, and stay tuned for that next video, because you know what? Well, okay, hold on. The next video is not gonna be a resurgence of this shop. It's gonna be multiple videos from now. You get it. But hang in there with me, and I'll see you on the next one. See ya.